What is the scariest story on the internet?
Slender Man. Internet meme inspires two 12-year-olds to attempt murder. Two 12-year-old girls from Waukesha, Wis, were charged as adults Monday for the attempted first-degree intentional homicide of another 12-year-old. Police say the crime was inspired by the horror mythology of Slender Man, an urban legend that gained wings as an online meme. The victim, also 12, was found Saturday collapsed on the sidewalk, suffering from 19 stab wounds, after she had managed to crawl out of the woods. She had been invited to one of the accused killer's house under the guise of a birthday sleepover. According to police, however, the attackers had been planning her murder for months as a tribute to the fictional character Slender Man. The victim was rushed to the hospital when found and was in serious but stable condition Monday. The pre-teens discovered Slender Man on urban legend wiki creepypasta. The character has inspired art, a YouTube mockumentary, cosplay, and an alternate reality game. According to online mythology, Slender Man is a tall, faceless figure who stalks, abducts, and psychologically terrorizes people, particularly children. One of the girls allegedly told police that they believed they were acting as Slender Man's proxies by killing their friend to prove their loyalty. They were then planning to run to what they believed was Slender Man's nearby mansion. "It was weird that I didn't feel remorse," one of the girls reportedly told police. According to Waukesha County District Attorney Brad Schimmel, if the girls are moved to juvenile court, the maximum penalty would be incarceration until 25 years of age.
What is the scariest story?
The scariest story isn't about ghosts or monsters that jump out at you. It's about a creeping dread that settles in and doesn't let go. Here's one. The year is 2042. The world is familiar, yet different. Climate change has reshaped the planet, but humanity has adapted. Megacities sprawl, connected by a hyperloop that races at unimaginable speeds. You are part of the lucky few who can afford a pod, a luxurious escape pod that detaches from your high-rise apartment in case of emergencies. One uneventful evening, the sirens wail. A crimson alert flashes on your screen, in scheduled dimensional rift opening. No one has ever seen one. It's a terrifying theory, a crack in the fabric of reality. The city goes on lockdown. You scramble into your pod, the metallic embrace both familiar and unsettling. Then, silence. No news. No updates. Days turn to weeks. Your rations dwindle, the silence pressing down on you. One day, the lockdown lifts. The city is deserted. News reports are cryptic, a glitch, a system failure. But you know, deep down, it's something far worse. You venture out. The city is pristine, untouched, yet utterly lifeless. No bodies, no struggles, just an eerie emptiness. Days turn into weeks of scavenging, the silence your only companion. You begin to lose yourself. Then, a flicker on your screen. A faint, distorted message, "Welcome. We are inevitable." The terror isn't a monster. It's the chilling isolation, the unanswered question, what happened? Are you truly alone? The unknown presence, seeping into your mind, is the ultimate nightmare. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, because the horror is everywhere, and it might have already taken you.
Follow for more.
Reddit. What is your not all heroes wear cape story?
My friend was sleeping over at my house. My parents and brother were all sleeping upstairs while we were downstairs watching TV, playing video games and shit. At around 1 a.m. he asks if this girl can come over. He really wants to get with this girl, and I don't want to turn him down, so I reluctantly agree, on the condition that she's quiet. The three of us are hanging out and I make some excuse to leave the room so my friend can have some alone time with this girl. I'm upstairs in my room when I start hearing loud moans. This is bad news for me, but great news for my friend. He's losing his virginity to a girl he really likes. I hear stirring in the next room and I know that their bout of loud lovemaking has woken my parents. The last thing I want is for my confused father to walk in on my friend fucking this girl in my basement. What do? I go to Pornhub, click on the first video I see, crank that shit to 100 on my speakers and let it play for the 3 minutes that my buddy ended up lasting. My dad ended up coming into my room, discovering the source of the noise. I even threw in some tapping motion under the covers and awkwardly leaving. My buddy ended up having the best fucking time ever, bro. But Jesus, there were some awkward glances exchanged between my parents and I the next morning.
Follow for more.
What is something that instantly killed the crush you had on someone?
I was casually dating this guy, as in we've only been on a few dates so far, back in college. He was educated, had a good job in his own place, was polite, all that jazz. Basically, no immediate red flags. One day, he wanted me to come over for a casual pizza night at his place. I had just finished up a 12+ hour long day due to my scheduling combination of non-stop classes and a part-time job. I was exhausted, to say the least, and did not feel like spending nearly an hour doing my hair and makeup to get all dolled up for such a casual date. I texted him something along the lines of, "I had a long day, can we keep it casual tonight? I hope you're okay with yoga pants and a hoodie." He responded with, "Actually, no, that's not okay. When you're spending time with me, you should always make a full effort to look your absolute best." Then, he started trying to tell me what to wear. Something along the lines of, "Why don't you put on a pretty dress and some heels, do your hair and makeup, make yourself look nice for me?" It was one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had. After he made the dress comment, I simply stopped responding. I never spoke to him again. He kept on texting me for a while, asking what was wrong and why I had just disappeared. I honestly don't think he realized what he said was so off-putting. I'm definitely glad that happened early on and I dodged a huge red flag. I guess I just have really bad luck with guys though. After college, I was with a dude very seriously for a couple of years. It was slow at first, but he started by suggesting what to wear and it went to him full on picking out my outfits every day to match and color code to his, including accessories. I normally don't give a crap what I wear, and matching with him when we go out made sense in my mind, so I didn't think it was a big deal. He turned into the most controlling and abusive man I have ever met. It lasted until he punched me so hard in the face that I went flying into an aquarium and broke that, got cut by the glass, and had my nose broken. It was all over a scarf. Our pet rat had dragged it into his cage to make a soft little bed and he thought I put it in there to be mean to him.
Follow for more.
What's the worst thing you've seen a family member do, but have kept quiet about?
One day I was walking by my parents' room when I noticed that the door was open. This was a little weird, so I peeked in and saw my dad on his computer. He was viewing screenshots of different news anchors' body parts. Nothing outrageous, just their thighs mostly. But there was an insane amount of this. I don't know what site or platform my dad was on, but he kept clicking and the images of thighs in tight clothing just kept popping up. Here's the kicker. My mom doesn't have legs. She was in a terrible car accident a few years ago, and she now gets around in a wheelchair. I wasn't sure if my mother knew about my dad's strange obsession or not, but I quickly noped out of that room and went somewhere else. A few days later, I came home reeking of a certain recreational plant when my father stopped me from entering the house. He's always been a very strict dude, with a military background to boot. I knew what he was going to tell me because he'd said it before, that I was not allowed back into his roof smelling like this. I needed to find some other sorry place to take a shower, and only then could I return. He started his little tirade with the question, "What is this?" Though, and I couldn't resist taking the bait. "Well, I can tell you that it's not a Google search of your favorite news anchor's thighs," I said snappily, definitely still buzzed. I never would have said that in my conscious mind, but, as soon as I said that, there was a little bit of dead silence. Then, my stone-faced father turned around, walked back into the house. I went inside and took a shower, and neither of us have ever spoken about it since.
Follow for more.
What's your biggest I fucked up moments?
Last night my girlfriend decided to talk dirty during intimacy. It was a breakthrough for us in the bedroom. My girlfriend has been insecure about talking in the bedroom since the beginning of our relationship because she's not fluent in English. She usually avoids saying anything mid-deed other than mumbling, which I appreciate too, but I've always wanted to hear her say something hot in the heat of the moment, even if she said something nasty in her native language. I never put pressure on her to do anything that made her uncomfortable, but I did tell her how much I would enjoy hearing things come out of her mouth when we sleep together. She didn't budge though. The thought of talking made her cringe. I eventually accepted the fact that she was obviously not the talking dirty type, which was okay. However, last night happened. My girlfriend came home from an office party and I could tell she was tipsy. She hugged me and said she was prepared to talk dirty if I promised not to laugh. I instantly promised not to laugh. Cue foreplay. I was going down on her when she said she wanted me to reach home base. Sweet. Good opening line for an inexperienced talker. I was impressed. Mid-deed. She kissed me and said, "You're within me now." I asked if she liked it. She nodded and said, "You're so far within me now." I was struggling not to break my promise and burst out laughing when I realized she was recycling the same line. When I went to go down again, I said I love the taste. She said, "Cool, thank you. Now work on me like I was a horse in the field and treat me like a saddle." I was afraid she was gonna catch me trying not to laugh. My girlfriend said, "I can feel you behind my belly button." At that moment, I lost it and laughed. My girlfriend had no idea what was so funny about what she said. I apologized for laughing and said it was the most unique talk I've ever heard and that I loved her even more for giving me that experience. Nothing I said made her less upset about me laughing though. Based on her body language, I'm gonna have to do a lot of exceptionally good boyfriend things before I see her unclothed again.
Follow for more.
What is the most embarrassing thing that you sent to the wrong person?
This was a few years ago, when the live photo just came out. I was at a wedding in May when one of my good friends from college pulled me aside to show me a video. Apparently, the bride of the wedding decided to take a photo of her new engagement ring on her hand when they had just got engaged last year. A typical view of looking down on this big old ring in her hand in space girly type nonsense. After taking the photo, she sent it to her entire extended family in a group text and to a bunch of her friends as well. What the poor girl didn't realize was that she had actually taken a live photo on her brand new iPhone. While initially, the photo was of her ring in hand, the extended cut revealed her now fiancé walking up in the background completely nude. Not a single piece of cloth on the man. But that's not even the funny part. He had a raging erection. That thing looked so hard it could probably drill through the earth. But that's not even the most hilarious part. The jokester is crab walking. No, not walking. He was crab running towards his new fiancée. So he was butt naked, hard, and crab running. Well, this extended version gets sent out to at least 40 people. To grandma, uncle, aunt, cousins, friends from high school, and friends from college. Essentially everyone with any know-how of a phone quickly figures out what exactly is being provided in this marriage. The poor girl figures out what happened the next morning when her phone blows up, but the damage is already done. During the entire wedding, I could not look at the groom in the face because I would break down laughing. I wondered if everyone else that's seen the video was also thinking the same thing. That video lives rent-free in my head now, and I think of him like that every time I see him.
Fucking follow for more content like this fucking shit.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've accidentally sent to the wrong person?
This was a few years ago, when the live photo just came out. I was at a wedding in May when one of my good friends from college pulled me aside to show me a video. Apparently, the bride of the wedding decided to take a photo of her new engagement ring on her hand when they had just got engaged last year. A typical view of looking down on this big old ring in her hand in space girly type nonsense. After taking the photo, she sent it to her entire extended family in a group text and to a bunch of her friends as well. What the poor girl didn't realize was that she had actually taken a live photo on her brand new iPhone. While initially, the photo was of her ring in hand, the extended cut revealed her now fiancé walking up in the background completely nude. Not a single piece of cloth on the man. But that's not even the funny part. He had a raging erection. That thing looked so hard it could probably drill through the earth. But that's not even the most hilarious part. The jokester is crab walking. No, not walking. He was crab running towards his new fiancée. So he was butt naked, hard, and crab running. Well, this extended version gets sent out to at least 40 people. To grandma, uncle, aunt, cousins, friends from high school, and friends from college. Essentially everyone with any know-how of a phone quickly figures out what exactly is being provided in this marriage. The poor girl figures out what happened the next morning when her phone blows up, but the damage is already done. During the entire wedding, I could not look at the groom in the face because I would break down laughing. I wondered if everyone else that's seen the video was also thinking the same thing. That video lives rent-free in my head now, and I think of him like that every time I see him.
Follow for more.
What's the most disrespectful thing someone has done to you while on a date?
I met a guy on Tinder who seemed nice and fairly attractive at first. My first impression was that he seemed a little vanilla. He didn't drink or smoke, and wanted to be a meteorologist. He was super close with his grandfather, gentlemanly and family-oriented. All green flags so far. We ended up going to Starbucks and talked for a couple hours. It was nice, so I set up another date. We went for ice cream this time and again talked for a while. We were sitting outside talking about physical attractions. I mentioned how men are attracted to prominent parts in women, while girls tend to gravitate towards odd features like calves and such. All of a sudden, he gets really weird and says I don't know if I should tell you this. So of course I prod him until he tells me. This ends up being my tragic mistake. First, he confesses to having a foot fetish. Whatever. That's not super strange. Then he asked if I have ever heard of a crush fetish. He tells me not to Google it because it'll freak me out. There are 2 levels of a crush fetish. Level 1 involves becoming aroused watching someone crush invertebrate animals under their feet, like bugs. Level 2 involves watching someone crush vertebrate animals like bunnies or kittens. WTF. Excuse me? Instantly, something he'd said on our previous date popped into my head. We had a conversation on the first date about how I had been getting a lot more bugs in my room that summer and so I'd been squishing bugs all day. I brought up this conversation from the last date and he confessed that it really got him going. Trying not to throw up, I smiled and continued on. What kind of shoes do you typically wear? Oh, well right now I have my moccasins on. Do you mind if I smell them? I'd love nothing more than to smell some sweaty moccasins. That was it. At that point, I was starting to plan my escape in my head when I felt something touch my ankle. I hadn't noticed that today he came to our date with sandals. Well, now they were off and he was playing footsies with me and trying to get his big toe into my sock. Now I'm not sure if this was his attempt at seducing me, but I got up and walked straight out the door. Over the next few months, he texted me 4 or 5 times asking me for my help and that he'd pay me to let him do stuff with my feet. I haven't blocked the number just in case I ever find myself in need of some quick cash.
Follow for more.